Welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint. I am your host, James Just. With me today is Mr. John Cameron, my favorite author, and he should be yours.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. I appreciate it.
Now, John, this is a unique day for us. Every year we get to go on TV and give a Thanksgiving message.
Wow.
You know, the Thursday night time slot is an honored one. We get to join people on a night when they are gathered with their friends and families and spending time with them, and they allow us into their homes on this special night. And so I want to thank them for that. And John, do you have a special message this year for our viewers?
Well, for the viewers, first of all, I'm thankful for my wonderful family, you know, and thankful for, you know, we talk a lot of politics, and we have a tendency to doom scroll for the show. It's pretty easy now. You just have to open your eyes, and you got lots of things for libertarians to talk about. Sometimes we forget what a marvelous country this is, what a fantastic experiment happened so many years ago that this country was created on 4 big sheets of paper, and it's been an example for the rest of the world. And you know, yeah, it's been muddied up, and yeah, we got some problems now and all the rest of that, but there's still probably 1 billion people that would move here in a microsecond if they could. So I think we should be thankful for that. I really do.
Yeah. Thank you, John. You will get to hear my thankful message here at the end of the show, so you're going to have to stick around for that. Force them to stick around.
Well, that's, you know, our viewers will want to stick around for that, because you do a good thanks.
You're going to have to do that. So, but speaking of thankfulness, some of us are happy. Well, some of the country is currently happy. And some libertarians are optimistic because Musk and Ramaswamy, Vivek. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last. Ramaswamy.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
The harder I try, the worse I get on these things. But they are leaning on some recent Supreme Court rulings. What's the most? The name is escaping me. John, help me out.
Well, Chevron deference.
Chevron deference is gone. Chevron is gone.
And then another. And I forget the name of that one, that basically said that you know, administrative agencies are on, what's the word I'm looking for? Very shaky ground with their complete control of every breath we take, every step we take, every drop of water that falls from the trees, and that there is nothing in the Constitution that says that they get to do this stuff. Yeah,
the judge, jury, and executioner. It's the fishing boat thing, right? The judge, where the federal agencies get to be the judge, jury, and the executioner of the rules they make up.
The rules they make up, which are, you know, quite frankly, unconstitutional. You know, it's like the Star Chamber. I don't know how many times I've said the Star Chamber on the show. You know, even the noblemen at that time in England took power away from the king because he just did whatever he wanted. And we don't have one king. We've got how many federal employees? 2.6 million.
Yeah, I'm not even sure we actually
420 federal agencies who put out guidance documents that carry the weights of laws and regulations that carry the weights of laws. And we'll talk about that in depth in another one. But I'm eager to see what they're going to do. And they're talking about doing something that I don't think anybody's talked about in this country in my lifetime, which is getting rid of people in federal government who, you know, whole agencies, because there's, 420, 480, they don't even know how many federal agencies there are. And getting rid of employees who's basically made a living sucking the marrow out of the bones of the citizens of the United States, and I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well, there's some hope. I'm skeptical, John. Yeah. Anytime they create an agency for government efficiency, to me it sounds like the Department of Redundancy Department.
Yeah.
You know, if it operates kind of like the Base Closing Commission did, okay, maybe, because those things had an actual end date and end time. They had a specific goal. If it kind of operates in that function, I'm just skeptical if they actually create an actual.
Well, this actually is an advisory committee outside that's going to work with. From what I read, it's still in the making. I wonder how long that Musk and Ramaswamy have been exchanging emails about this. Maybe for years. We don't know. what do you call them? The people that are employees of governments whose job it is to audit government agencies, inspectors general.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to work with inspectors general, and those people have weight, and their recommendations have weight, and unless you're the Pentagon. But anyway, so I'm optimistic that something's going to happen, and even if very few people and agencies are closed, the findings are going to get reported somewhere, and people will be able to look at them and see the fact that there's just layer upon layer of waste and layer upon layer of people who have basically unlimited power that shouldn't have it over everything. And I think this is going to make more people realize what we libertarians have known and talked about on this show for the last 30 years. You know, that...
well, I can give them a place to start. Every year, Rand Paul comes out with his list of grievances. Just start with his list. Just go through his list. That's the easy stuff, right? That's the stuff that's easy. And just start there and then work your way down. So you're talking about layers upon layers upon layers. We're going to move on. 10,000 Commandments of 2024, John. This is when you got to. I didn't get a chance to dig into this deeply, so give me an overview of this.
Well, the Competitive Enterprise Institute spends, I don't know how many hours, probably 10,000 hours a year, drilling down into the numbers. And I'm just going to throw some out, and I apologize for throwing numbers out. But there's 86,000 pages of federal regulations. Every year, agencies put out literally thousands of regulations. And during the same year, 60 laws are passed. In other words, Congress gets together and actually passes 60 laws. And then these agencies create regulations that have the weight of law. And these aren't elected people. These are unelected bureaucrats. And these regulations have the weight of law. And they're in about 4,000 a year. And then they create even more thousands of guidance documents that have the weight of law. And this has been going on basically forever. And so 10,000 commandments is an understatement by a factor of 10 of people that you and I don't elect, that are unaccountable, and in the past they've been unfireable, that have the power of judge, jury, and executioner. So that's why it's 10,000 commandments. And what's frightening about it, if they were just, you know, they wrote stuff on a piece of paper and nothing happened, that'd be fine. But the cost of these regulations and rules and laws in this country are anywhere between, conservatively, $10,000 per household in the U.S. to $20,000 per household in the U.S. And the Competitive Enterprise Institute says it's about $15,000. So that's $2 trillion a year.
Yeah, and well,
that's the same as if our regulations were another government. It would be a government, the seventh largest government in the world. Just the cost of our regulations in this country.
And that's just federal regulations, John. That's not even counting your state and local stuff all layered on top of it.
We're in Kafka-Ornia, so I think we might. I should have DuckDuckGo'd the number, you know, because you know what would happen if you try to Google it. For California, we've got, I think, like 80 agencies in the state of California, and you know the California Coastal Commission, which is speciously unconstitutional, the California Air Resources Board, which employs 6,000 people. You've got all like the people that are in charge of barbers and massage therapists and anything having to do with your roof. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on, much less, you know, medical. And then in California, we probably have people in charge of yin and yang because it's California.
Oh yeah, we all in California, remember when they said the marijuana regulations were too complex for people to navigate, so their decision was to create another layer of bureaucracy to help people navigate the layers of bureaucracy that they created. So that's California's solution to things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's how
Pass
we do
more
that.
laws.
Now-
Don't get rid of the bad laws. Just pass more laws.
Just pass more laws.
Yeah.
Now, this is why it's important for the people who run all these agencies, right? Who do we choose to run all these agencies? Because, you talk about,
Who do we choose? We don't get to choose.
yeah, we don't get to choose, but those who do get to choose, it is important who runs these agencies, whether it's a Musk or Ramaswamy, or if it's someone on the other side of the political aisle who just sees the ever expansionist of government. But Richard has something to say. Mr. Richard Fields has something to say about Trump's proposed appointments, or at least some of them. So let's see what Richard has to say on this Thanksgiving Eve
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
evening. There we go.
This
Thanksgiving
week's
Eve. Yeah.
report from the fields.
Evening.
No.
Governments are made
Evening.
up of people. Sometimes the people who run the government are well-intentioned, hoping to be of useful service to their fellow citizens. But sometimes the people who gravitate toward government, both in elected and appointed positions, are doing so for their own benefit. Being able to legally exercise power over other people, or they come to do good and do very, very well through the myriad opportunities for graft, corruption, and secure, well-paying political patronage jobs. With that in mind, let's look at some of President-elect Trump's proposed appointments. Keep in mind that Trump is an empty vessel concerning ideology. His lust for power appears to be motivated mostly by ego gratification for being able to win the office, and given the vicious campaigns run against him, a desire for revenge. His attention seems to be divided between big government, ultra-conservative hardliners, and quasi-libertarians. On the hardliner side are nominees for Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, Border Czar, Tom Homan, and Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. On the quasi-libertarian side are Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who've been tapped to run an unofficial Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. They claim they will be able to cut upwards of $2 million annually in federal spending. Good luck with that, considering that they are planning to cut almost 1/3 of federal spending without touching Social Security, Medicare, defense, or interest on the debt, which altogether make up 2/3 of spending. Why? Because Trump took all of those programs off the table. They'll have to cut almost everything else. As Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard would run all 18 of the intelligence agencies, from the CIA to the TSA, which allegedly put her and her husband on a Quiet Skies terrorist watch list shortly after she switched parties from Democratic to Republican and endorsed Trump. She has a long record in Congress of being critical of Obama's foreign policy interventionism. She had the temerity to have a conversation with one of our supposed enemies, the president of Syria, rather than advocating for knee-jerk militarism towards him. She also had the nerve to actually agree with Putin when Putin made true statements. As a lieutenant colonel in the Army National Guard with 2 tours of duty in the Middle East, she's not an armchair general like most supporters of the military-industrial complex. She will be uniquely qualified and in a position to get to the bottom of why dozens of spooks lied about the Hunter Biden laptop being Russian disinformation, when it absolutely was not. Heads could roll. Other unconventional picks, like Linda McMahon of Education, Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, Pete Hegseth at Defense, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Mehmet Oz at HHS, and Lee Zeldin at EPA could make for some paring back of the deep state. Then, of course, there is the issue of confirmations. That'll be a circus, or not if Trump resorts to recess appointments. Time to get out the popcorn. This is Richard Fields with this week's report from the fields. See you again next week.
I'd like to comment on.
No,
the
please
report
do.
from the
Please.
field. So, I was reading today the reactions of people And the reactions of people, especially Tulsi Gabbard, let me know that she's a great choice, because they said, oh, she's an outsider and doesn't understand it. She has no experience in it. She doesn't have all the people in the agency she'll be running, and their mouthpieces, the New York Times, even the Wall Street Journal, which I'm shocked by, said she's a bad choice. She's a bad choice if you want business as usual, but we don't want business as usual. And she has basically everything they're attacking her on and saying it's evil is something that you and I as libertarians would want. We don't want to be involved in these foreign wars. Every expert will say that the reason that Putin felt hemmed in was because we violated a very old treaty about making all the former Eastern Bloc countries NATO people, which we said we wouldn't. And basically, we're talking about admitting the Ukraine to NATO. And so I'm not saying he has the right to invade another country, but you know, Russia's been invaded probably more than any country on the face of the planet. It's they're a little paranoid there, and with good reason. And she had the temerity to say that. I mean, we could go. I could go on and on to say why I think she's a sterling choice to head all those agencies. But my question to our viewers before that would be to think about why we have 17 intelligence agencies in this country, only one of which is allowed to act on U.S. shores, yet the CIA, through their ex-employees, was basically exercising censorship on the American people. So somebody needs to rein those people in and hold them accountable. They have violated law after law. They refuse to follow government guidance or court rulings, and they just act as if they rule the world. And many people think they do.
Which is hilarious, is the people who are against Trump say Trump is, right, one of the problems with Trump is that he's acting with impunity, but yet all these government agencies and their agents have been acting with impunity. It's called qualified immunity for a long, long time, and we're going to pretend that the problem is Trump's alleged immunity. It's silly. But we got to move on because we're running some short on time. U.S. regulators are seeking to break up Google and forcing the sale of Chrome as punishment. Chrome is useless as a browser. I don't know why anybody actually uses Chrome as a browser anymore.
I use Chrome. What do you use?
It's spyware, John. Get that thing off your computer. Use a version of Chrome. Use
It won't
Opera
let me.
or Brave.
It says I'm spyware. You
Firefox.
can't delete me.
Yeah, don't use Chrome. Use anything but Chrome. Chrome is just spyware. Read the terms of service. You're agreeing to spyware.
Nobody reads any terms of service.
Oh, I read that one. That's why I don't use Chrome.
Well, that's why I'm not on Facebook or any other social platforms. But I didn't know. I'll just. Well, should I stay with DuckDuckGo? Do you think?
Well, the search engines are fine. It's the browser that's problematic. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, the problem with this is that we have regulators searching for problems that are already in the solution is already in the marketplace, right? Chrome is already losing market share because they've ignored their consumers, the needs of their consumers, while other people like Brave and Opera and Firefox has been on a downward trend recently. But still, there are lots of competitions in the browser world, and so this notion that we're going to punish Google by forcing the sale of Chrome, which they already have an open source version of, it's just silly. It's you regulators trying to regulate things they know nothing about, as is usual.
Yeah, and you know, the idea that U.S. regulators are seeking to break up Google, the monopoly that is Google. There are an awful lot of people say that the algorithms that were used to start Google, I'm not saying that I know this for a fact, were actually invented by DARPA, and that Google was a front for their use, and they wanted to have people use it so that they could know what everybody was doing at all times, and they let these people become billionaires by doing it. So that's one conspiracy theory, and it could be wrong, but all of the rest of the 117 conspiracy theories I brought up on this show proved to be true. So,
well,
it
wouldn't surprise me, John. Let me put it that way. It wouldn't surprise me. But we're going to move on again. 18 states have filed a lawsuit against the SEC over the alleged unlawful crypto regulations. Now, again, we were just talking about earlier, the SEC simply made up regulations on regulating cryptocurrency. They just invented them out of whole cloth.
Yeah, and nobody gave them the Constitution says that all rights not specifically given to the government in the Constitution are reserved to the states or the people. So I don't remember looking at the Constitution last time and seeing the SEC, oh, by the way, it didn't exist either, nor should it, had the right to pick and choose what it gets to regulate. So I would say they got a pretty good case.
Yeah, and see, the thing about coinage is you're not allowed as a person to print coins, but Bitcoin isn't a coin.
No.
It doesn't physically exist.
Yeah.
It's like trading in video game money,
Yeah.
right? Its value is what
Some people would think that's about what it should be worth.
Well, that's what people decide, right?
Yeah.
Value is what two people have decided
Yeah.
something is worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if it's the SEC, the government regulators who don't understand the market, and especially the crypto market, right? Because few of us understand the crypto market, and you expect some regulator.
I quite frankly don't. I'll just tell you I don't. But
some bureaucratic regulator
Some
is
people
supposed to do it.
Well,
is supposed to understand it. It's just silly on its face. John.
absolutely.
All right, let's talk about something else that's silly on its face. Now, it didn't actually pass. They held it up, but Australia was looking to ban social media for children younger than 16. Now, you get the parental instinct. I understand the parental instinct, right? You look at some of the data that they're showing you, and it goes, oh, since the invention of Facebook and TikTok and all these things, the mental health of children has decreased. This is true, but that's not the only thing that has happened in that period of time.
And
Right? It's in the last 20 years, the expansion of the power of government in all levels, especially in the schools, has increased exponentially. And then we're wondering why all of our children are having issues with school and mental health. You know, the thing that they're actually interacted with most is that school day. That's the thing that is their single biggest driver of their
got
emotional
time
health.
for 2 points on that or not?
Yeah, you got time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, all of the good studies out there, not the bogus ones done by people who want to censor everybody, say that when they look at it, that people who are active face-to-face and have a wide circle of friends, healthy. People who are active on social media, have a wide circle of friends, happy. People who are inactive face-to-face, unhappy. People who are loners, etc., on the web, unhappy. They've drawn no correlation between social engagement on the web and the mental health of children in any study that has any scientific validity. And there are things called parents, parents. It's parents' job to guide their children in the choices they make, not the freaking government, Australia.
I have a little task for all of you out there tonight. After your dinner tomorrow, go out and just search for an article on Psychology Today. It's probably a decade ago now. And early education produces long-term harm, long-term psychological harm. So the more we're forcing our 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds to try to be educated, the long-term consequences of that are kids who don't know how to emotionally control themselves. And
To add to that, in Japan, little kids are basically wild animals until they're not wild. They're not held to any standard behavior
They're free
other
range.
than play. They're free range until they're ready to be educated, and then they start educating them. And I think nobody in the world would compare the level of educational success of Japanese students versus Americans and think they're doing it wrong.
But I do want to say there is a high suicide rate in Japan, so
Yes, there is.
there are issues,
Yeah.
but need to be explored.
Yeah.
We got a couple minutes to cover with this last topic.
It's a
House
funny one.
House Republicans grilled the FEMA administrator over alleged political bias. This is another one of these things where
Well,
conspiracy
alleged.
theories come out to be true. They told rescue workers to not go to houses with Trump signs.
Well, one person certainly did because they have copies of the email.
Yeah, and
or
she's
the
saying
text.
this is a policy, right?
And,
The
yeah.
lady who the lady who they threw under
Yeah.
the bus said this is policy. I'm getting thrown under the bus here. This is
Yeah.
kind of a
They
long-term
fired
policy.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
sacrificial lamb. I wouldn't put it past them. People have a feeling, they think wrongly that people in government are actually bright. They're not, folks. They're cunning, they're devious, they're great at political infighting. But when it comes to, if any government agency actually responded fully to a FOIA request, all of them would have been fired long ago for inappropriate use of government. It's that simple. They're not rocket scientists.
Well, the thing is, the agents of the government, bureaucrats, whatever you want to call them, they are not better angels of our nature.
No.
They are just like you and me, out there
Only-
trying to live our lives, trying to be the best thing we are, and trying to, have the best life we can. And just like people will take business shortcuts in business, they will take shortcuts in government
Yeah,
to get
except
their
they
way.
have power.
Yeah, that's the real
You
danger.
were going to do a Thanksgiving close, weren't you?
Yes, I'm just kind of delaying until it's time for me to give my
Oh, I'm
Thanksgiving
sorry. I
close.
just
No, we're
wanted
all
to
good,
make
John.
sure-
We're all good.
yeah.
It's time for my Thanksgiving close. Every Thanksgiving we get to come on here. We get to speak our mind. We get to express ourselves, but that's only possible because of viewers.
Hmm.
Because people who take the time to turn on their TV and to listen and engage. And because of that, I thank you. Because without you, we don't exist.
Ditto. Yeah.
But I also want to make sure I thank the crews in there who have done so much hard work and volunteering. This is an all-volunteer crew. This is an all-volunteer people. So I want to thank Kelly, Anthony, Daniel, Gail,
Gail, you're thinking Gail?
I'm thanking Gail, who is our producer. He's been our executive producer for quite a while. We want to thank
They all do an amazing job. They have to put up with us too. I mean, me especially. They should get paid for that.
We want to thank the crew of Access Sacramento, Donna, Lorene,
Yeah.
TD, me, I guess, Carlos, Paul, and all the rest of the crew who we don't get to see very often. Tanya, Brianna, we all get to say thank you to all of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's doing that without notes, so that's a good thing.
And I've skipped some, so
Yeah.
I've missed some. But it's not about thankfulness. Is about being there. You can't be thankful unless you're there. So thank you for being with us every week. Have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.